Hey guys, what's up? Zuta coming to you once again with Saturday Smackdown, and guess who's back? Back in
Ladies and
black.
gentlemen.
It's Interjection. He's back.
Yes, I am so looking forward to this.
I've I've been flying solo for a while here while your
You have been.
computer's under the weather.
You've been doing a good job. I will get those VODs out on the official Age of Empires YouTube channel as well, if anyone was wondering. The ones of Zuta on his own, and with Maito for a couple of weeks. But yes, the reason I have been gone, as a lot of you will know, is because my computer has been broken. It has been in the repair shop. They took it from me. And partly the reason it took so long is because I had to wait for them to come and collect it, because they don't fix hardware problems on campus, and then I had to wait for them to bring it back. And now I have it. Got myself an Asus GeForce GTX 760 in there. So that means all of my videos are going to be in super high quality, because I can run the game in maximum graphics with absolutely no problem.
That's pretty sweet. Alright, so I think we're ready. We've got players, we've got the map, we've got civs. We've almost got ZutaZuta's sound fixed on his...
Almost.
Yeah, now
Not
we
quite.
have. Now we have. And I think we're ready. I'm here, good. I have not got...
It's yeah. It's so weird when they talk on their stream and no one talks to us. It's true. It's true. I mean, without them guys, though, this wouldn't be happening. Also, shout out to Azemk. Without his map, this certainly would not be happening either.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned A's in a while.
Yeah.
Without him, like, we wouldn't be in this situation. Alright,
was-
Gungun's super keen to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I have returned after a 3-week break or something like that from casting Saturday Smackdown. Of course, I am joined by Zuta again, as always. We're just waiting for snow to green up, but super excited to be casting once again. Obviously, the computer has been broken, as I have mentioned multiple times in the vlog, video log, whatever it was, and also in a couple of other places, Facebook, namely Twitter, etc. Still waiting for snow to green up, so I'm going to plug myself a bit more. Ah, yes, whilst I've been gone, there have indeed been lots of Saturday Smackdowns casted by Zuta either on his own or by Maito.
That's me.
Well, both, well, always, I must admit, always Zuta, but sometimes Maito as well. Those VODs will be up on the official Age of Empires YouTube channel. Video links, links to those videos will be in the description, so you can go and watch them. I'm going to edit them all together because, Zuta's a busy man, whereas, I'm a student, so that doesn't mean I'm not busy, but certainly I have more time than him. Especially right now, I've got a 4-week break.
Yeah, that's really nice. I've actually got a full week off from work. I'm actually going home to see the family back in the motherland. So I actually will not be physically at my computer for the next week, basically starting on Monday.
I remember you saying, actually, that you wouldn't be able to cast on the 27th of December, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a week from today. A week from today, I won't be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the, indeed, come on phone, 20th of December 2014. This is game number 1 in the best of 7 series between Snow, here he is in the south of the map, and Gungun. Indeed. Snow, certainly a very good player, as I have said before in the stream, though this is attempt number 2 at this particular game. Snow, possibly one of the best players on ESO currently. Definitely top 1%. Very, very good. Here he is, playing as the British, spawning with the 1 coin crate. Absolutely, picking himself up a nice 30 coin over there. Perhaps this makes the early market something he might consider.
Yeah.
Perhaps, anyway. But we do indeed have Gungun in the north of the map. Here he is in the color red, playing as the Germans, and heading over to an 80 XP treasure. I thought perhaps maybe when I was looking at the minimap it was some sort of trading post involved, but then again it is a coin start, so actually what am I talking about?
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, that would be pretty
Unless
hard.
you found an 85, you'd have to find 85 wood, right off the bat.
Yeah. 85 food though, here it is. That's going to certainly help him out up to the next stage pretty quick. But yes, this matchup, a vanilla matchup, British and Germany, and as I've said many times before, I'm a huge fan of just straight up vanilla matchups. I like that very, very much. I think it reminds me of my vanilla days back on the original Age of Empires, which was certainly one of the best times I think remembering back to. But what do you think of this, Zuta? Yeah.
And vanilla matchups in general, I think I think there's less BS. I think it's like higher. I think the better player in general will win more in a matchup like this. Like, I don't think that this matchup is too far away from balanced. I think it's slightly in favor of Brits, but I don't think Germany, like, it's certainly not something that's like unwinnable for Germany. Yeah. Whereas there's like some matchups where it's like you get like a native civilization versus a vanilla civilization, like Russia versus Sioux or something like that, where it's just like Russia's at like kind of this really awkward disadvantage against Sioux, and it can have a really hard time like winning that matchup. Yep. And it's not like Russia is the weakest civ in the game, or it's not like Sioux is the strongest civ in the game. It's just like a BSy matchup. There's just like a lot of broken things about it. So I think in general, like vanilla matchups are they lend themselves to be more skill based, which obviously for Smackdown is something that we encourage. So.
Absolutely, we do like to see the I suppose the more skilled build order and the selection of build order, and I guess decision making, and I think skill, rewarding people for being skilled is certainly quite nice. But there's definitely a lot of truth in what you're saying. I think a lot of the Asian civilizations as well, and I suppose the war chiefs, they're very flavorful in terms of what they can do, but sometimes that flavor translates to them being very strong. Namely, a few civilizations bonuses. I mean, like shrines can be quite interesting sometimes, but that's yeah.
Well, you can tell kind of like what order they made the civs in too, right? Like you could tell that when they made the game, Spain was like the first civ they made because it's like the most bland bonus. Like there's nothing really that special about Spain, right? And then you look at some of the new civs. Like you look at like India, for example, compared to Spain, and just like nothing is. It doesn't like look reminiscent of Age of Empires really whatsoever, just because like, everything is different. Like so many things are different compared to the like base vanilla like style civ. So
yeah, you've got like shipments that give you a special bonus in addition to this, and you've got like the consulate, all these extra things. That is true. But
the juices were just flowing at that point, and like. Stuff is just really different.
In credit, though, I do think that they did a good job in like making every civ sort of flavorful. I mean, Spain, when they actually went to the New World, were renowned for sending shipments back home of lots of gold, namely from the Aztecs, I suppose. So again, having extra shipments, does that sort of reflect it? Perhaps it does. But anyway, right now, at this point in the game, they are both about to hit up.
We should mention the game.
We should.
To be fair, though, like we mentioned, it's a vanilla matchup, and so it's not like there's really anything that's going on. It's like, oh, look, they're all gathering food, they built a market, and they've got hunting dogs. Like, nothing really too exciting has happened so far.
That's true. I suppose we're going to have to wait until... I mean, we can speculate on what they're going to do, but until we'll actually know what they're really going to do once we see that first shipment come out from them, which will be in about 20 seconds from now. So we're looking for that. But right now, Snow laying down an outpost right next to this food here. Of course, he wants to secure some hunts. He does have a hunt in his base, but aside from that, those berries there, his hunts are looking fairly limited.
Yeah, so and it looks like it's going to be Gungun who's going to tip his hand first here. Does put down a stable. Does also grab a trading post here in transition. So it looks like it's going to be some sort of cav-based opening for him. And I think we'll likely see that transition into fortress-based play.
Absolutely. First shipment likely to be 3 villages here. Sorry, yes, that is correct. 3 villages. Followed by the 700 coin, and he'll most likely hit up. Of course, the cavalry going to do some raiding with those. Nice semi-FF by the looks of it. Hopefully kill some villages, of course. British do tend to have more villages than other civilizations, so perhaps he'll get a few there. And of course, these villages on the hunt where I'm looking at on my screen right now are quite far away from the town. Could be really good. And of course, if you're sending 3 settler wagons first, which he has done, that's absolutely huge for Germany. Possibly their best shipment, the equivalent of 6 villages, plus those 2 Yalan for free. You have the time to make these cavalry anyway before you have your resources to get up to the next stage, and you can just use these to do some raiding whilst there's not a whole lot going on. I'm going to take down that explorer there, 45 XP, absolutely for free. I find this is one of the more annoying things about scouting Germany, because you have to scout them before their first shipment arrives.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't know if you saw my flare, there's a kind of a hidden stable down here by Snow, which was actually spotted by Gungun. Yeah. With some of these little cav raids. So far, Gungun really hasn't gotten much raiding done. It's been pretty good villager movement here. Here, finally, we're going to get a little bit of a raid. Looks like he's going to get 1 villager. Is going to lose probably the Ulan, but does kill off 1. Oh, even keeps the Ulan alive at 2 hit points. So
wow,
that's kind of nice.
Pretty nice. Keeping the Yulan, of course, 150 resources each, though it might easily get picked off, but you never know, it might not be noticed until... Oh,
Actually,
the monkey Duba doing work!
Duba came in and got it. Another thing I do want to point out...
I think we see a little bit of these 4 Hussars, certainly, or 5 Hussars even, certainly going to be able to take... Oh, splitting them up, duping him, what a pro! There he goes. I think he's managed to escape there. That was pretty sick. That was
a good split by him. One thing I did want to mention here briefly that we saw Yumiu do a couple weeks ago that I thought was very, very clever and is very worthwhile. Yeah, as we see some of these Ulans are getting kind of tracked down here.
Yeah, that was a nice. That is not the way he's splitting them up there. But go about Yumiu, yeah.
The vision control that the Brick player has right now by splitting up his manor houses and his infrastructure like this all across the map really lends itself to kind of controlling the German style. Like ultimately, Germany wants to be raiding and trying to pick off villagers as many as possible. But by kind of splitting up his houses like this and just keeping this wide ring of vision all around the map. Kind of lends itself just to controlling the map in that way, just having full vision of where these raids are coming from, and I think that's a really smart thing that he's doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. Those manor houses, of course, your opponent isn't really going to want to bring them down, because if they do, you can just rebuild them at a later point in time for a free, of course, villager. And they're British manor houses. I mean, with any other civ, you probably wouldn't want to do that. But certainly, I think we saw Azamp do that as well a few games ago. Certainly adds to the map vision, which is, definitely when there's cavalry about, you certainly need to have. But I've switched my resource counter over to units lost. So I'm going to quickly read this out. This is pretty interesting. We've got 400 resources down for Snow and 450 down for the German player. So actually very even at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean there was like 1 Vil and 2 Ulans that were taken down, I think, and like a couple of the Hussar kind of got caught chasing a little bit too far. So I guess that
those cavalry just got caught.
Yeah, I think he should be okay. Yeah, I can just drop the 1 back. Getting a little bit of a raid here on the left-hand side too. The thing that we do have to mention, though, is that Gungun is, he's 90% of the way aged up. So, although he's slightly undermanned in terms of military population at the current time, he's going to have a very strong power spike here. And I'm curious whether or not Snow will just try and dive in here and do as much damage as he can while the German players at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, calling his Minutemen there. Of course, all of these villagers on the food, he really does not want to lose that. But you mentioned a power spike. That's absolutely true. Gungun is now up to the fortress age, and he has sent obviously 2 settler wagons, 3 settler wagons, 2 settler wagons, which in that early portion of the game does kind of make you
Just losing so much though.
So many of these settlers that he sent are definitely, and those Minutemen aren't going to last much longer. Of course, Musketeers turning up. But if he can hold this, which he should be able to, though, that is a lot of villages. It just sort of nullifies the villager shipments that he sent. I was, this 2 settler wagon shipment, the second shipment he sent, sorry, the third shipment he sent, I was expecting something like 700 coin to get him up much more quickly. I think what he was aiming for here is, since he's up against the British, maybe he thought Brits is going to come in a bit later, perhaps I can get away with that, and then have a really powerful fortress age once this economy comes out. And just absolutely, smash out the units and then overpower British before they're, all of the resources they're investing in early game can come to fruition. I still cannot say that word. Thank you very much.
He did a little bit slower of a build. He actually made a few more cav. I think the cav response was kind of just due to what he had scouted. And as a result, he kind of made more cav because of that. But it did slow him down significantly. Big batch of war wagons here. This will definitely clean up. This will push Eric back, but at the end of the day, 54 Vils versus 26 is going to be very, very rough. Even for a German player in age 3.
I was just looking at that as well. I believe one of the new features in the OBS map that AIS is currently developing is similar to the post-game graphs in the sense that you can see how many villages they did have or how many resources they do have, and also like how in StarCraft you've got you've got supply and what is it? The little bars that come up.
Mm-hmm.
He's working on something similar for that. But I want how Yeah. Did you notice though how many villagers did he have before they all got killed? Because that is a huge deficit.
It was at least like 36 or 37 in population.
And being up in Fortress, how with that many villagers, you should be able to make something happen. But now it just that doesn't look too good. These war wagons certainly doing what you can with them, but British, even though certainly in terms of perhaps resources, at the moment Gungun's army is bigger, especially with those 9 Yulans now out. But it won't be for long.
The thing is, he is aged up. He did kill all of the Hussar, and Eric is trying to age himself. Oh, and he might be able to catch those Huss. So, I mean, there's a hope. There's a small hope where 8 skirms comes as his next card, presumably. And
just caught 1,000 resource of Cav as well. Guard. That was pretty good.
And if he gets out 8 skirm as his next card fairly soon, which he should because he's got a trading post, then I think it's likely to assume that Eric, his army's not that big. I mean, if you take a look at what it is right now, and war wagons, some vet Ulans, and 8 skirms can clean that up no problem. And, Eric is frantically trying to get the resources to age, and, he's not going to be able to age just yet. This could be a chance where, Gungun can fight and win.
That's absolutely true. There's certainly... has a fairly decent army now, though I think a batch, called his Minutemen and a batch of units just did pop out. Certainly now going to push red off. But as you say, those skirmishes might be on the way. And of course, skirms and war wagons are just like super amazing hard counters. Like skirmishes absolutely destroy musketeers, right? And your war wagon has an absolutely huge multiplier against cavalry as well. So if these unit shipments start coming out, so that's a lot of war wagons. And these things are really expensive, really quite strong. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, what he really needs is the 8 skirm shipment, and I have to assume it's sending right now. I had my timer covering up the bar, so I didn't see where it was at, but it's at like 40% now, so he should have something sending, I think, right now. And he's really going to need those 8 skirms. He's got a good number of war wagons right now. Yeah, there they are, 8 skirm. And that's maybe going to be a saving grace. If you can control those 8 skirm well, and just kind of use the war wagons to tank in this next fight, Eric is still sitting on an awkward number of resources where it looks like he's not sure if he knows whether he wants to age or whether he wants to fight and play H2. I think at this point he should just commit to H2, but he's kind of caught in an awkward spot with a lot of resources unspent. And although Gungun's fairly far behind in terms of economy, he's got a pretty good power play right now where Eric's kind of caught in a little bit of indecision and may be able to just push and win, although there is a huge raid coming up here, and there's...
Those 5 cavalry certainly going to come up, do lots of damage to the villagers. Well, that is not going to look too good. But this fight down here right now, of course, Snow does not want to take because of those skirmishes. He's really not got anything to... He can't get close to them. He doesn't want to take damage from them because, musketeers do ×2. But the cavalry now here, about to kill lots of villagers. I'm not sure if Gungun's noticed yet. Maybe he's got that tunnel vision effect because he's in a fight trying to skirm.
He's running back.
He's noticed, of course, a very good player. He's bound to notice something like that. But it happens, though, when you're trying to kite all day long with the skirmishes, trying to manipulate that range advantage over the musketeers. It can happen. But certainly the war wagons on the way back should be able to certainly scare off the cavalry, but actually war wagons don't move so quickly, so he's not going to be able to catch these. Having said that, though, cheeky 3 Yulan around the back, going to catch these there, slow them down a little bit, and perhaps that will be what he needs to kill those off. Certainly lost a few more villagers, though, and that villager deficit certainly not looking too good. Snow representing an economic lead, looking at the score right now, and he really wanted to keep pushing, I suppose. He didn't really want to go back, and the more time this British player has, the bigger this is going to get this army. It's not
definitely a good play there by Eric to go up and raid that gold win. The other thing I do want to point out as well is that Snow has committed his resources to staying in Age 2, which I think he should have been doing from the beginning, just because I don't think he's going to be able to age up and beat Germany in that way. I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think that was just destined for failure. And so now that he's committed his resources to staying in Age 2 and playing it out in the second age, I think it's going to be better for him.
Yeah, that's a fairly big raid, though. The tower did go up, and I think there are a few villages in there. I think what you're saying there is definitely truth in that. British, I think, traditionally like to stay colonial. I think anyway. But your point is, I think he killed quite a lot of German villagers, and perhaps he thought to himself, maybe I can get up to Fortress, and that's something I'd like to do because I killed the villagers. But certainly, all those skirmishers getting caught by the hussars there. What are the war wagons doing? That is not too good. He would not have lost these if they had not gone back so far. Perhaps he thought, perhaps he pressed his 1 and his 2 button on the thing for his control groups to send them back, but didn't press the skirmisher one or something. I have no idea. That is absolutely devastating, but still, even if he didn't lose them, I think he was a little bit further behind, and this is only put him much further behind than he already was. And he
could not. Another 7 skirms coming from a shipment. Like, I mean, he wasn't winning per se, but his army could have. I mean.
Yeah, he's just noticed. He's like, what the fuck was that? I apologize for that that cuss. That I do forget that sometimes I'm anyway. But yeah, those 7 skirms he had, plus the skirms he had on the board already. If he had not lost them, certainly that's a lot of skirmishes, and 5 more just popping out there. Unfortunately, just surrounded by units. I think actually, with all those skirms,
if you certainly had those skirms, like he would have probably won this fight.
You just look at how many, like those war wagons. Like, longbowmen counter them with the ×2 multiplier, and musketeers aren't. I think in terms of efficiency, musketeers are actually better resource for resource against war wagons. But there are so many war wagons. They're 300 units of resources each. They just absolutely tear everything. Just, if he had those skirms, he would have won this fight so much harder. And despite being so far behind in terms of villager count, I think actually he might be able to push in and keep going, but can't.
He would certainly be able to push him off hunts. I mean, it would present a very awkward situation for.
That's true. And what is British with all of these villages with no places to gather resources at? Villages are meaningless if you can't actually gather with them.
At that point, there is the wise Victor would say, just taking up population space. So. Yeah, I mean, had he still had those like 20-odd skirms in that fight, and mind you, if he would have had those 20 skirms in that fight as well, he would have preserved even more health on his war wagons, right? Because those war wagons just stood there and tanked longbow damage for ages. If he would have had those skirms in that fight, it would just made his war wagons even that more efficient. But
it's at this point in the game, okay, he's got a couple of skirmishers, certainly less than he could have, and a lot of war wagons. His military presence is quite high, and I think still he can pose a threat and do some damage. There are 4 hussars up here taking out these settler wagons. That's really not what he wants. Of course, the war wagon's now going to come in and force these hussars away, but I think the hussars, one goes down, but I think the trade was definitely worth it. Those other 2 might be able to escape. But yeah, he has a fairly decent military presence. The only problem is his opponent has literally 200% more villagers than him.
And on top of that, Snow's made a fairly huge transition into longbow. If you take a look at the military tab, 47 longbows and 2 hussars and nothing else. That's a pretty good transition against pure war wagon. Not gonna lie. This is something that's really tough. Ooh, 13 Jaegers is maybe gonna be helpful, but
Jaegers.
What he really needs, it's hard to make this prediction, and what he really needs now is 20 Ulans, and he's not going to get 20 Ulans with the state of his economy. Although he maybe can get out 5 and use them to tank for the Jaegers, buy himself a little bit more time.
That's true. Jaeger's certainly very strong. They do, of course. At this point, though, I'm not sure if... I was going to make a video on this, how the score works in Age of Empires. Of course, 100 resources on the battlefield is equal to 1 point of score. But Jaegers and mercenaries, all mercenaries, right? Yeah, these Jaegers are worth 180 resources, so they should be worth 1.8 score. But that is not how it works for mercenaries for some reason. You do not get... It's very strange. Your score is less than it should be. So... Whilst he is 150 score right now, is actually, if we take into the account that the Jaegers are, kind of tanking some of that score, and there are a lot of Jaegers there. Wait, has he added in, how many does he have? Is it
just 13 from the shipment.
Oh, that's just because there's skirmishes in there as well, and it tricked me. But yeah, it's certainly not perhaps as far behind in score as he is. We'll see if does he have anything else on the way, or is he going to have to take this fight? Longbowmen very good against light cavalry, as in ranged cavalry, such as these war wagons. And honestly, this fight doesn't look... Oh, but he has to take it, right?
He has to take it. Eric's aging. If he doesn't take it now, those longbowmen just get upgraded and... everything just gets stronger. So.
This is make or break. He knows he's behind in terms of in terms of economy, so he has to overpower British in this fight, whether he can or not. He has to do it, and if he can't, then obviously that's the game here. So he knows he has to take this fight no matter what happens. That is it. Certainly, War Wagon's very strong in terms of the amount of hit points and damage that they can do, but Longbowman's super efficient against
Longbowmen are just being Longbowmen at this point.
Yep.
Longbows behind a wall are one of the strongest units in the game, and kind of just proving that right there.
Yeah. So much range. They have such a long range. Wow, I guess their clue is in the name there. Certainly, though, but Goon losing the first one. Snow takes the victory, bringing the score up to 1-0. For those of you who perhaps tuned in late for the start and were wondering how many games have passed. Indeed. Also, 7% from age. Snow has not said that in the chat, though. Some people, though, when they're aging, they're just like, oh, 7% off aging. Like, I don't know if that's...
like, it's like a victory status or something.
Yeah. I don't know, because like when you lose and then they're just like, yeah, 7% off age, and that's just kind of annoying. I dislike that. So I like
in a similar vein, like when you're playing 3v3 random or something, right? You're playing like a team game, and like you've been getting like clearly smashed like the whole game, and you're the other team is just like refusing to win. Like if they just all made 10 units and right clicked on your base, like you're dead at any point. But instead they're like going to industrial age and making factories and stuff like team game players often do. And like you resign and you're like still in age 2 or something, and they say LOL was going Imperial or something like that. It's like, yeah, like no crap, you were going Imperial. Like the game is over 35 minutes ago, like when you killed all of my villagers, but then you just refused to play the game for the next 20 minutes.
This feels like we could make like memes or something out of this. That's genuinely quite funny. But I think I'm now going to head out. We'll get into the next game. I'm sure Zuta's already left. But yes, let me stop the recording and I will see you all again in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown for the 20th of December 2014. This is game number 2 in the best of 7 series between Snow and Goon. Of course, Snow being, well, aka Koenig Eric, certainly one of the best players in the game currently, top 1% as I did say, and Goon probably up there as well, certainly a very good player. Here we have Mongolia as the map spawning in the east of the map. In the color red, we do indeed have Goon playing as the Indians. And we are spawning with, of course, 1 coin, 2 food, and an extra coin. Because, of course, this is Mongolia, where you get an extra coin. India, looks like they're going to have a good time on this map. We have said it before, this is definitely one of the better maps for India to play on, simply because there are yaks absolutely everywhere. And of course, India get 2 explorers, they're going to find them. But also you get a 3rd explorer, because this is Mongolia. You find one in the treasure, certainly going to be very good. However...
Like, what's going on? Why is it taking so long? I think Goon didn't load or something.
Yes, Zuta, you should, for the benefit of the people on the stream, you should try casting with the graphics on. When you play, fine, turn them off. But when you're casting, give it a go. I think
I can turn up the graphics a little bit now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 in this best of 7 series between Snow and Goon. This is Saturday Smackdown for the 20th of December 2014. The fact that I mentioned the year is certainly becoming more and more relevant as we approach 2015. Yes, this is attempt number 3 at this particular game, I'll have everybody know. In the VODs, you never actually have to go through the pain of getting these things started. But indeed, we do have the Indian player in the color red. Here he is, Goon, spawning with 1 coin crates. And that is the only coin crate, the one that you just randomly get because it's Mongolia. So actually, that's a pretty good start for India. Certainly going to be having more food and wood, hopefully wood. That's really what he wants. Do you know which extra crate you started with, Zuta, by per chance?
I wasn't paying attention. I was actually too busy looking at my graphics, looking at how pretty they are.
Yeah, Zeus having.
There's shadows on the guys now.
You like it?
It's okay to watch.
Yeah.
If I were playing, I would find this incredibly distracting.
Yeah, I couldn't play with them on either. I've played with them off for so long that using them on would just be annoying. I do endure it though, because of course I like to make things look pretty for the videos. I think I value the viewer experience more than the player, but that's because I'm perhaps not as good as some other players. Well, for example, Snow, who has recently been, here he is in the the west of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Dutch. Certainly, this is Snow, top 1%, aka Koenig Eric, definitely very good at the game, as I mentioned in the previous. And he has been streaming on the official Age of Empires YouTube channel, so I'm glad we, see him on there. Certainly feature some of the best gameplay. But the reason I asked you, Zuta, if you noticed the craze, it doesn't matter, is because, of course, India can make a 10-10 if they do indeed have enough wood for it. And this map, they are exceptionally strong.
Yeah, well, and I think we can see right now that it was a wood crate start, right? Because I mean, he's at 10 out of 10 population and 0 wood, so I think it's safe to assume at this point that it was a 400 wood start for India, and that he has done that 10-10 start that you mentioned.
Yeah, and you know, these cows going to give him so much XP, going to be really, really strong. This is definitely one of their stronger maps for certainly India. You know, 2 scouts, really good. Find all the cows. The extra scout you get, really good. Find all the cows. And cows generally, hashtag AZAC. There we go. But Dutch. What do you think of Dutch against India?
So the one thing I will say about Dutch on this particular map is there's a couple things. So I mean, first of all, you normally think like Dutch versus India, like, oh, super hard, like it's a really good map for India, like what can Dutch do? There are a couple things that Dutch has going for him in this particular map. One, he's not super hunt dependent, so I mean, you know, most civs, a lot of civs like ports or Brits, right? They run out of like their first hunts like really, really early, and it's like, well, no more hunts. Guess I just kind of lose. No, that's not necessarily the case so much for Dutch here, because they're so coin dependent in so many ways. Skirmishers certainly cost a lot of coin. They don't really need as much food. They can make villagers with coin. The second thing he kind of has going for him is he's got this very safe coin mine in the back, and it's also a gold mine as well, which means it has 5,000 coin. And so as long as he can protect that in the back of his base, he's going to have a fairly easy time, you know, producing those light food units, so skirmishers, for example. He's going to have lots of coin, going to be able to make villagers. And then on top of that, he's got lots of yaks as well. So when he does run out of hunt in his base, he's going to have at least a little bit of time to sustain himself through that, or maybe use the cows to power him up through an age up or something like that. So it is a hard matchup, but honestly, and let's be fair, this is a really good map for India, but it's probably equally as good for Dutch when it comes like right down to like like if this were on Great Plains, it would just be like brutal. Well, Himalayas maybe, like it would just be brutal for Dutch, like coin mine out front.
Oh
like,
God, no!
Just like it would just be really awkward. Like, but in this particular situation, safe coin mine, decent wood line. The only thing that kind of sucks is his berries aren't super usable. But at the end of the day, for what it's worth, he's got about the best base he could really hope to have in this particular situation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good map for India, but Dutch has a lot going for them. I did see he collected that 90 wood treasure as well. Definitely got a bank foundation down a bit sooner, and that means, you know, Dutch could sometimes struggle to get that first shipment in queue when they hit up to Colonial, because you need to get that bank up for the XP to boost you up to get that first shipment. So the finding the 90 wood definitely makes that very much more likely that you can get that first shipment in queue, saves you a bit of time, and as you said, you know, not quite so hunt dependent, because of course villagers and all of their units costing coin, or well, a lot more than they do food, that is. And Dutch quite like to be in the Fortress Age a lot of the time, and the yaks, as you mentioned, will of course power him up to that, and certainly help him out quite a lot. But, you know, India, here he is, Agra Fort now down, and of course those first five Sepoy, or 4 Sepoy is trained, plus the 2 that you get simply for aging up, plus the shipment of 5 Sepoy have now just arrived. This is where India is quite strong. Yeah, you have 12, but actually only 11.
Yeah.
Sepoy's now coming in.
I also want to point out, I mean, King Eric, he just straight up shipped a pike as his first shipment. Like, he identified that his opponent had a forward aggro, was going to play really aggressively. And there's the potential that those 5 Sepoy could have been 4 Sawar, and then the 8 pike would have looked really smart. Either way, he has barracks out. Should have skirms in queue and coming out here fairly soon. At which point he can use those to kind of just kite around and buy himself some time.
That's true. It's certainly very strong. Of course, they do have that massive multiplier. The issue is here, they are a little bit close. They do need to get a bit further away. Walking perhaps the wrong way away, you know, because they're out of position that perhaps could get caught by cavalry, but certainly the pikemen going to make short work of any cavalry that do come close. They're going down quite quick. I think the elephants are slowing them down as well. Quite a lot of hit points. Can you put those in in cover mode, Zua?
Yeah, certainly could. But, you know, I don't even think this is necessarily bad for Dutch at this point, though. I mean, look at how far of a trip he's
dragged him a very long way away.
Yeah, and he's taken a lot of hit points off the Sepway. I hold down my alt key, and I see lots of fairly low hit point Sepway. And you know, it kind of sucks that the pikes are kind of stuck down here, but for what it's worth, he's only lost 2 skirms and 2 pikes, and he has bought himself a mountain of time back in his base as a result.
That is true. I was, you know, referring to the cover mode that you dislike so much on the elephants, but it doesn't appear. All the skirms have now gone down, though. Yes, he did manage to do a fairly decent amount of damage to the Sepway, and as you say, he's bought himself a lot of time. Certainly going to get these banks up from the 700 wood that's arrived, and more skirmishers will be out. Certainly going to have time to mass up. Isn't going to be overrun. Those villagers not being shot at, not being forced in the TC is looking good.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of held the early pressure. He's getting up a second bank. Certainly his eco isn't nearly as strong as it would have been had he, you know, shipped bank wagon or something as his first card. But just playing it safe with the pikes certainly makes sense. Also, I mean, those elephants, I mean, they're just so annoying, right? Like, if you get those up in your grill, it's just like really hard to shake those elephants. So, and the pike's helping out with that in that regard as well. And I mean, this isn't looking too bad for Dutch. All things taken into consideration, India's eco is fairly poor at this point. He's got up decent infrastructure. He's getting a stable up now. He's got up a barracks. He's got 2 banks. Certainly, I would expect something like Bank Wagon coming as his next card, maybe 600 wood. In both of which are going to put him in a situation where he's fairly stabilized, got a fairly good base, and he's still got all the same good stuff going for him that we mentioned earlier. You know, he's got that big coin line sitting in the back of his base. He still has all of the axe available to him, and India's kind of in just an awkward situation where he's just now making a market. He's just now making a consulate. He's kind of playing catch up economically. So, Snow in a pretty good spot, I think.
I think India certainly wanting to do a bit more damage than he did. And as you mentioned, because he 10-10, the market and consulate only just going down, and actually not that many villagers killed. I think with the 12 early Sepoy out, you sort of want to get in there and at least shoot some villagers, maybe kill 1 or 2, and definitely force them off into the town center. When those skirmishes popped out, I did get a little bit worried about him, because they were rather close to the Sepoy, and he seemed to be walking in the opposite direction from his town. But actually, that was a good thing in the end, because he dragged his opponent away and actually made himself a lot of time. But yes, we do see 300 export has just arrived for, of course. Well, it's been here for a while now, actually.
And so I think like you mentioned, the dragging him away. I just want to expand on that point a little bit. For people who maybe don't play India, the first batch of Sepoy comes up fairly easy because you've got the whole time basically that you're aging up. You've got a couple villagers gathering the resources, so you got a little bit of a bank to be able to make that first batch of units. But after that, like, if you want to have any sort of economic follow-up whatsoever, like your next 1 or 2 batches of units, it's generally going to be fairly low. It's only going to be like 2 or 3 Sepoys. So with that being taken into consideration, he was fairly safe to kind of just poke away down there as long as he controlled his skirms well, knowing that until the next shipment came, that there was not really probably that much that his opponent could do.
True, though, we do see the red in his base right now. Going to try and do some damage here, certainly forcing those villagers into the town center. And I think 3 hussars, that is 600 resources worth of units getting caught in there. Certainly not the worst thing that could have happened. As you see, there are a lot of skirmishes. Certainly going to use those to take out, of course, the Sepoy. Minutemen being called there. A batch of 3 skirms being timed really nicely, actually, because now actually red is stuck in here. I believe those Minutemen may have gone into hand combat, actually. So that's interesting.
This is really good. During all of this, he's had a huge raid with 3 hussar on the back of his base. And honestly, what he's doing here with his villagers, he's just using them to tank damage, giving himself a little bit more of a front line, is probably a fairly smart thing to do. If he holds this, I mean, take a look at how many villagers Gungun is at. He's only at 23 vills. If he can just hold this, he's got 3 banks. and he's in a pretty good spot.
That's true.
I don't know. It's gonna be tough though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the Gardner Hussars, right? I mean, they're not quite Gardner Hussars in the same sense that the Ottoman Gardner Hussars are Guard Hussars. These are like somewhere in between Guard and Veteran, but they're still very strong, and certainly that is what counts as skirmishers, knocking them all down. I did notice that he was using his town center to the best of his ability to kill those cavalry, and I believe it might not be the case actually, but it certainly is on the vanilla that it has a 1.5 times multiplier versus cavalry, so it's always best to use your town center to kill cavalry units because of that multiplier if it does exist on TAD. And here though, but the cavalry are down, some skirmishers have come out, though I think most of that army there is actually Gurkha, which the skirmishers aren't going to counter so well. But
2 Hussar coming in here though, like these 2 Hussar could do some damage if the skirmishers can pick off those last 2 Sepoy.
And I think that's what he's managed to do. There are no Sepoy left. That one has got very low hit points. It has gone down. Unfortunately, though, these 2 Hussars are very low on hit points, but 2 more certainly going to come in. I believe those have literally just been trained. And he's cleared it up. He's killed everything there. And economically, I mean, he is now 10 villages down. But you have to consider
the
fact that...
He's got banks.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Banks are... Actually, I can't remember what the equivalent was. I cannot remember for the life of me how many extra villages. Something like 4? It's like 4.5?
It's like 3.5. It's
3.5?
It's about 4, I usually
say. I think it starts at 4, but as the game goes on, that sort of goes down because you can upgrade the rate at which your villagers can gather resources, but you don't upgrade your banks. So banks depreciate in value over time, actually. But that the point is his economy is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's certainly not. It's certainly not 19 bills bad. I mean, he's got the 3 banks. He's got he's got the infrastructure he needs. A lot of people will undervalue infrastructure a lot in this game. If we take a look at what Gun has in terms of being able to train military units, he's only still got the single Agra fort, right? And so he doesn't even have like a stable. So
so he can only make infantry essentially.
Right. Yeah, and so that's a bit of an issue in its own right.
Yeah, those Tiger Claws coming in, doing their _2. ×2 versus skirmishers there. That's not too good. You're going to absolutely tear them apart.
It's actually only a ×2 against heavy infantry, so... Isn't it? Or is it against all infantry?
It's 0.5 versus heavy infantry.
Okay. Yeah, so it's basically a cav unit, I guess. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's confusing, though, these multipliers. They definitely...
yeah.
Like, when on Lancers, the infantry, like... applies to every kind of infantry, but on a different, like on some other units, it just doesn't. That only applies to a certain type of infantry that isn't. Anyway, the point is, all of those skirmishers have been knocked over. That's not too good. I was going to say that Dutch has survived the early aggression, has got a pretty decent economy, and it looks like he's survived. The onslaught that is India on this map, Mongolia. But actually, now these Tiger Claws, of course, they are expensive, and
villagers.
Yeah, okay, 3 cav coming forward. I'm not sure how much they're gonna.
Sepoy,
No, did you see that switch there? Gun just like switch into melee mode and then back again, like splash. That these players are certainly quite good. Those cows now going to come into use though. Certainly going to use them since he can't actually get to his food.
Yeah, and he's going to have to. A couple more Hussar coming in that were raiding previously. Going to be able to add some nose damage.
Oh, you can see him trying his hardest there. Like, those Sepoys were doing, like, sieging down the town center, and cavalry are, like, really good. They've got really, really high DPS. So providing they're not taking damage from things, cavalry are, like the fastest damage-dealing unit there is at this point in Age 2. So if you're attacking the Sepoy whilst they're attacking something else, like, that's really efficient. And you can see, as soon as they turn around, Snow tried to get out of there. He's trying his hardest to clear this up. But actually, that ×3 multiplier that you have in hand combat, Gun gonna use that. He's not gonna get caught by sieging down this town center. He's turning. But, having said that, Blue now back to work. Economy's still fairly even, I would say.
I don't know. There's 4 TPs being dropped down by Red right now.
That is wow. Okay, wow, yeah.
I don't know if he knows, but he's had a lot of wood in bank. He's had like 1,300 wood for a very large percentage of this game. His macro's been a little bit out of whack. And to be fair to Eric's credit, he has been raiding him very, very hard. And certainly this map kind of lacks food in general. So I mean, we can see how that could potentially happen. But he is now going to go up and build those trading posts, so I do like that as well.
Yeah, going to secure down a nice economy, really. Once you get that upgraded, that is a huge amount of resources coming in. Using villagers to build them, actually. That's where are his explorers are just random.
They're taking naps.
Yeah, they're a bit tired right now. Yeah.
Do you see the guy on the elephant is actually still moving around? So he's not dead. You can definitely tell he's just like taking it easy, and he's just taking a nap.
The elephant itself, though, is somewhat conked out.
Yeah,
that's true.
But the guy on top of it is definitely still conscious. He's not.
He's okay.
He's not dead. He's just incredibly weary.
Incredibly weary. Confirmed. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That's.
He's stuck out in the middle of the desert. You'd be tired too if you're stuck out in the middle of the desert.
In the middle of Mongolia. Yeah. Okay. Yep. What does Dutch do at this point, though?
Praise. I mean, he's in a really rough spot. He still only has 3 banks. I mean, it's ideally he would like to get aged up so he can get vet skirms and get Reuters out to deal with, you know, the kind of the Sepoy Sour composition that's going to be coming forward here. It's going to be really, really tough if he has to stick it out in age 2. I mean, the longer you go in age 2, the worse it gets. And it looks like he probably is going to be able to age.
But he's got the resources.
He's got the resources to do so, but I mean, we have to take into consideration he's only going to be on 3 banks. He's been behind in villagers, like just raw villager count now for quite some time. He hasn't really been able to get any more great raids in or anything like that. And Goon, I mean, is stepping forward with at least a decent sized army that has some pretty good siege damage. So I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, Snow's going to get aged up, but is it going to be too little too late? Is he going to be able to actually do something when he gets aged up? That's going to be the really important thing.
Certainly a lot of siege damage and all of those Sepoys might be able to take out these Raxes and things like that. Anyway, the point, but the thing is here, Blue's aging up, right? And that is the best time to go in whilst they're aging. Of course, he has just aged up because he used the age up fast option. So, you know, if it was a slow age up, then pushing in whilst they're aging is even more effective because you're less likely to actually be able to make use of the age up. But yeah, the point is he spent how much? Like 2,000 resource, like
2,200 res,
yeah, on aging. And you know, to get the bonus of that, like, I guess you have already got a skirmisher mass, so they do become veteran instantly. I guess that's worth mentioning. So actually, you know, you're going to get some value there. You can send shipments, and I guess you're going to get some value there. But, you know, really, I guess actually Reuters is the only thing here. I think he's going to be able to get some value out of this. I think he's going to clear up. I'm not quite sure where all these Sepoy are going. I guess they're just waiting for those sours, which are now going to come down.
Yeah, and I did see that he made, like, he's making batches of Zambaraks as well, which... I mean, he's been getting rated quite hard in both of these 2 games to start with, so I can understand that he's getting frustrated with SR rates. But at the same time, I don't know that that's necessarily what he needs. He's going to need...
Oh, that's not good. He needs to actually fight there. He needs to attack move or do something. Getting caught. Oh, that's not... He's not happy with that. Look, 5 Reuters just coming out. Absolutely no anti-cavalry to deal with this. I think there are a couple of pikemen, but, you know, they're age 2 units that are going to get knocked over pretty quick. The skirmishers count going down quickly. There are a lot of sours doing massive damage. They have a 1.5 multiplier versus infantry there. And they're, you know, only just the second batch of Reuters going to come out. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, he actually pulled together a decent number of Reuters here. If you would have, sadly, still had all those skirms alive, maybe things would be a little different here. This is going to get very, very difficult to hold from this point going forward, though.
That's true. It's Red has a large army. Let's put it that way. I mean, if he had more skirmishers, it would be good because, of course, you know, skirmishers counter the main bulk of his army. Almost entirely his army is composed of of Sepoy. There are a couple of Gurkha in there, like a few, very small amount, and there are some cavalry as well, which he does have Reuters to deal with. But yeah, they're getting pretty close, and if you can't kite, then you can't really do a whole lot with skirms.
Yeah, although he's making the best of the situation. They are vet skirms now, so we do have to take that into consideration.
It's true.
Unfortunately, some more Sowars coming in here as well. It's going to come down to his control, his unit control. If it's spot on, maybe he has a chance to micro his way out of this fight, but definitely much easier for the India player just to kind of smash everything together and have a favorable trade than it is for the Dutch player trying to control frantically all of his units.
Oh god. Just imagine though if he came in slightly sooner just as he hit up aging with all those cavalry that he had.
Yeah. Like
it would have been even harder to deal with. There'd be no Reuters, like none. And you know, you've just spent 2,200 resources on not making units. So but I think he's better. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
He's dead, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think I don't want to make it. I don't want to say it so overtly.
The well has run dry. His coin mine just ran out.
Yeah.
He's still only on 3 banks. I mean, he's shipped 2 unit shipments, 1 unit shipment. He still has 9 Reuter, I guess, left. But I mean, 9 Reuter, it's a really strong card, but it's not going to bail him out in this situation.
Yeah, 9 Reuters is good. Though, having said that, they're doing work against the cavalry down there. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like you just go, he's dead. Like that's what you're trying to say. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but like I'm trying to I heard this thing where if you say, oh, the game's over, like you just say, oh, it's done now, like suddenly like your viewer count just goes down the moment you say who's gonna win. And I've been trying to avoid doing that because like it becomes less entertaining for people if you suddenly say, oh, they're gonna win. And I don't know, like, but sometimes it's hard to avoid not saying it when it clearly is over at some point. And like Age of Empires 3, like sometimes they end really dramatically with one person winning, like this climactic ending. But a lot of the time it's just one person getting stronger and stronger, and then this guy just going, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, it's a bit different from StarCraft. StarCraft has that like there's like something weird can happen, like 10 DTs, like invisible units, like 10 invisible units show up in your base, and like you don't have detection, and you just win like on a mechanical flaw like that, right? Whereas here it's like this, like Gun like is just so far ahead economically, like I don't know. I'm actually surprised he's letting up the pressure right now.
He just needs to make that final push. I think he's just trying to just pull the units together. I mean, he's got enough units to go in pressure, right? Certainly could just shoot villagers on the berries there, but he's not gonna lose. He's just sitting there. Let's get all these units together, get your act together, dude, and then just head in and finish the game.
Yeah, it's tough, especially now that he's got upgraded TPs. I mean, he's got like some really good stuff going for him. He's transitioned over to the British consulate and has been sitting on really good market upgrades. Obviously, he's mixed in his stable. Like his infrastructure is good. It is going to take a small miracle for Blue to win in this situation.
A small miracle.
I wouldn't say a large miracle, because a large miracle is like snow hasn't like been present for the first 15 minutes of the game. Like it's like that brutally.
Okay, well, and then he just turns up like.
He turns up and like he realizes his villagers are like standing idle around the place where they automatically gathered the crates like 15 minutes in.
Ah, I see. So that's what you consider. Okay.
That's what I consider a major miracle.
Yeah, I see. Like I heard somewhere like the chances of life occurring on a planet is like a hurricane going through a junkyard and forming a working jumbo jet. So is that like your idea of like a gigantic miracle?
That's a large miracle. That's miraculous. That's by definition miraculous.
Okay, so we've defined miracles here.
We defined levels of miraclisms.
So yep, with ZutaZuta, that's definitely.
I'm a bit concerned that he's not just going and like pushing in Dutch's base. Dutch is one of those civilizations. So a lot of civilizations, Brits is a great example, right? They can run their economy around, and by pushing in their base, it's like, ooh, I'm sieging your houses in your TC and the buildings in your base, and I'm inadvertently helping you out. Dutch isn't like that, right? Like Dutch has banks, like and houses.
He's realized
that are,
he's going
like.
now, yeah.
All you need to do is like right-click in his base and kill the stuff in his base, and if you kill the stuff in his base, you win the game, because what Dutch has in his base is incredibly vital to him. He can't afford to lose houses. He can't afford to lose the infrastructure in his base. Whereas a civ like French, who's got like a kind of a mobile army in itself with its villagers, and Brits who can, use manor houses to rebuild stuff. Like Dutch, the stuff in your base is absolutely core to what you can like use to win the game.
Yeah. And you start attacking that kind of stuff, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come to you.
He has no choice.
Yeah. Don't run around. Let him come to you. Go. Just It's.
Like this is what he should be doing. He should just be sieging the banks and just using the Gurkhas to just like keep the skirms and the Raiders at bay.
That's true.
I mean,
Villagers now popping out.
Yeah. Halberdiers. It's desperate when you have to ship 8 halberds.
You don't want to. I think what he's doing as well is like only having 10 vills in the town center and then using the idle ones to do damage or to sponge or something like that.
Here we go.
What? Has he just received a shipment or something?
Yeah, well, 8 halberdiers, yeah.
Oh yeah, halbs.
This is going to be the go point. I mean, unfortunately, they're just going to tip over, take a Gurkhas and stuff, and that's
there it is.
The game.
GG. He held on to the last moment, tried to do what he could.
Yeah, that's a valiant effort to be assured, but
yes, but that does conclude game number 2 in this whatever it is. I believe the score is now 1-1.
That's correct.
So looking like lining up to be a fairly interesting series then. If it's already 1-1, we will see. Let's jump into the next one, into game number 3. I'll see you all in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown for the 20th of December 2014. This is not game number 3. Yes, it's not game number 3. You may think it is game number 3. You're wrong, Interjection. This is the 3rd game in the video, and you've just watched 2. Yeah, that's right. It is the 3rd game in the video. But you may have noticed that. Let's start with him. Here he is in the north of the map, in the color red. Not Goon, King Onage, the 2nd.
The second, not the first.
Very, very important.
Important clarification.
There was definitely, perhaps once, a King Onage first, maybe. Who knows? Certainly, though, starting with 1 coin crate there. Not going to see, a trading post. Definitely not on this map. That's not even a...
he could drop a native trade.
He's going to drop a Navajo settlement, yeah. Oh, what if he did? That would be great.
Just ran to the middle of the map with his explorer and just immediately drops down the Navajo settlement.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could build natives in Age 1. That would maybe be cool. Then if you could build natives in Age 1, and you could have some sort of build where you could actually apply pressure with minor natives in Age 1.
Yeah, but then that's I think I remember you a couple of streams ago saying, "Oh, what if Germany? What if they got a Yulan for free in Age 1 with their first shipment?" Well, they'd probably kill your explorer and do a massive amount of annoying damage to villages. I don't know.
But minor natives kind of suck in general, right? It's not
true.
Very good units. It'd probably be plus you have to invest the resource into making the trading post, and you're not going to get treasures from scouting and stuff.
That's true. Yeah. All right, maybe. All right, maybe. It's one of those podcast discussions that sort of reminds me of that I need to start doing again, if indeed you would like to do them with me again. But yes, King Onage II. He is subbing in for Goon. We finished game 2, and I do not know what happened. Zuta does not know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. Goon was online, but no, he's not there. So we've had to replace him. So
he went MIA. He actually went offline before we started as well. So I don't know what happened. Maybe his internet cut out or something.
That could definitely explain. He'll probably be back after this one, going, "Oh guys, I'm back."
Yeah, but it's not fair to the viewers to make them just sit there for 30 minutes while we wait for that guy to reconnect.
Yeah.
So
we did wait for a fairly long time, actually, but. Yeah, here we see, Red actually, I think, his explorer being attacked in hand combat, he's walked all the way back to his town there, and, Blue doesn't really want to get any closer because Red can pop some villages in that town center, and of course make that explorer go down, and that's not too good. You don't want to lose your explorer, though actually there aren't that many treasures on this map that are worth getting, and the ones that are worth getting they have indeed already collected. But I'm going to introduce the Blue player. Here he is, Snow, same as before in the previous game, in the color blue. Here he is playing as the Germans, has left his coin on the floor. In fact, both players have. There we are.
I mean, on a coin crate start, it's not much Germans can do here, right? You need a big wood treasure. Maybe on Siberia or something where you get a big wood treasure or something early on,
or at least the 50 coin treasure on Great Plains or something. Something. It's pretty difficult.
Something. Yeah, it's going to be hard to make anything. As you mentioned as well, Painted Desert's in general a really low treasure map, which doesn't lend itself to early trickery with flipping resources at the market or anything like that. You pretty much just have to do your base vanilla build on this particular map.
That is the case. So, the way this is going to work, we're going to have a best of 3 between Snow and King Onage. And I guess this is still Saturday Smackdown for the 20th of December. It's just unfortunate that Goon didn't didn't arrive. It's still a Smackdown nonetheless. So that's how the rest of this is going to work. Both players aging up right now. We do see that King Onish does have more resources by about 200 food, which is actually fairly significant, I'd say. And he is actually aging up a bit quicker as well, with about exactly 20%, is that? Yeah, just 19% by the looks of it, in terms of age speed.
I do want to mention that the reason why that's likely true is that King Onish only got 2 cows, of which both he did eat in age 1. So he did power up his age up a little bit and eliminated... Yeah, by the way, your mic just came unplugged or something by the sounds of it.
That was my phone. Yeah, that's... sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's basically... yeah, I mean, he's up that 200 food because he ate those 2 cows. That's essentially. It did allow him to age up a little bit earlier as well, and we'll see whether or not that actually makes that much of a difference. Stable coming down for Onage in the background.
Yeah, we'll see what he does with it then. Cavalry's certainly going to be out a little bit sooner. Maybe he can get the cavalry over a little bit sooner, do some raiding. Certainly that first shipment going to arrive soon. And here we see Snow now going to come in and scout him. You have to scout Germany before they get their first shipment, because those 2 Yolan will kill you. That Red Explorer has slowed him down. Though I'm not sure how much this fast age, inverted commas, is actually going to help. But, you know, opening with a stable, looks like he has something fortress in mind, just judging from the stable. Certainly we'll have to see what his first shipment is, but judging by the resource distribution, well, actually, I guess that's for cavalry, but indeed indicative of a semi-FF right now.
And have you seen, we've got some trickery coming out of King Eric. We have a forward Rex and Doppelsonders being trained currently. So,
okay. Wow, okay.
Cap semi-FF versus potential Dopp rush here. I mean, it can go both ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing for King Onish is his coin mine is very safe. He should be able to control his hunts well enough on this map that he should have some decent hunt
2
available.
Yolan's going to get caught out of position there. Absolutely wrecked. 300 resources down for blue. Nice start on red.
But at the same time, Doppelsonders have an incredible amount of siege. But it did get scouted right away as well. So, I mean, that's good. King Onish is going to have time to properly reply. He's going to have time to, like, you know, ship 700 wood is his next card, maybe drop down a Rex, get some crossbows out, do something like that. He's at least not going to be caught completely unaware, you know, by all of a sudden 10
Doppelsonder's coming in. No, he gets back there. I thought for a second we were going to see.
It was going to be close.
My heart was,
one volley from those puppies, and this cat can take a beating too.
Like the Ronin that you have that are like 400 export each or something. They can just like do a little spinny dance and like boom down all of the. Sorry, coming back in around the other side here, going to force the. Yeah, they're not going to get caught. The Doppelsonder's coming forwards. No, having to defend with the Doppelsonders at the moment. You did say they have a lot of siege, definitely, and you could use them, you know, because all he is doing cavalry, right? You could just put them in your opponent's base, and what is he going to do? You're just going to take down his houses, possibly his stable. All he can do is call Minutemen and shoot at you with his town center. But actually, really, you do have to defend right now, because you can't let him just raid you.
Yeah, and I think it's been a really clever here by Red so far. He's done a good job of just kind of distracting them. It looks like the Doppelsonders are going to be moving forward now. And unfortunately for King Onish, it does look like he is still trying to just blindly age. He did ship 700 gold next instead of 700 wood that I maybe would have liked to see as an in-betweener, just to maybe get a Rax and a few crossbows to maybe stabilize a little bit more. Certainly the Rax is going to be useful when you age anyways, just because you can make skirmishers out of it, you can make Dopps of your own. Sure, it's going to slow down his age up by 1 card, which is maybe somewhat significant in the fact that, you know, neither player has a trading post on this particular map, but maybe it would have been a little safer. That being said, looks like he's still going to get aged up just fine.
Oh, wow. 5 more coming out there. Going to absolutely wreck these Minutemen. They're all 1 HP. The area damage coming into effect there. No, actually, the man. Oh, stopping. Oh, wow. Yeah, he should be aging up okay, but you know, definitely could be punished for that, as you say. Certainly, you're going to need a barracks anyway, and getting out a couple of crossbowmen just so that you can actually push these Doppelsonders back is going to be good. I mean, here they're going to come in and absolutely destroy these houses, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tricky. I mean, this isn't an easy situation, and I'm surprised Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. Should just be going for the houses at this point.
Yeah. Perhaps he thinks that, you know, he wasn't as aged up as far to the Fortress age as he was, and that he would be able to bring this down before it actually gets up. I mean, what's going to happen here is the 8 skirms that he'll send inevitably will pop out, and he should be able to force this back fairly easily. That having been said, though, the Doppelsudden is going to absolutely smash these through, returning to that. Like, obviously here, I think he wants to buy himself some time. Perhaps he's a little bit concerned about the skirmishers not being able to pop out in time. I think, though, should be okay.
I think they should come. They should be here.
Like in 5 seconds, something like that. They won't be much longer. But then if he does, even if the skirms do come out, he can still just bring down the town center anyway. And then when are you gonna get any more? Come on, the skirms! 3, 2, 1. Are they gonna pop out? No skirmishers. Maybe like literally like 2 seconds away, most likely. And taking out the nowhere to garrison any of these villagers. 3, of course, veteran war wagons coming out now, and those are cavalry in themselves. They do move quite slowly. The game is over. Onage getting wrecked. Absolutely. Sit down, son. And,
I thought he played it correctly. I think he should have done 700 wood before 700 coin. But like I thought he was going to be okay. Those Doppelsuddeners like completely surprised me in how much they were able to siege. I did not think they were going to get the town center done. I thought it was a severe mistake.
It looked like a mistake. I thought it's so much more secure to kill a house, right? It's got only 1,200 hit points. You could take down 1, 2, maybe 3 houses. In this case, the same amount of damage probably would have taken out all of his houses. But yeah, like you just kill the TC, it's still fully functional. Damage doesn't mean anything. If you've got 1 HP, you're golden, no problem, right? And then you just repair it for half the cost. Killing houses is actually a thing, but he managed to take that down so quickly, and I thought even if the skirmishes did come out, all you do is just keep sieging, keep sieging. It's so inefficient to do that. I mean, Doppelsudden has 200 resources each, right? Mostly coin, which is a slow gathering resource. And, you know, if you do just keep sieging, bring down that town center, all of the shipments are stopped, and that is pretty much it. But I do think you called it. You should have built a racks, get a few crossbowmen out, and then stuff like that might not happen.
Yeah, I mean, we can see by the end of that game, like, there was no intention for aging by Snow. Like, he had committed fully 100% to playing in Age 2 and like spamming Doppelsuddeners and sieging and like making cav. Like he was all in Dapulan at that point. And it worked out. I mean, I do think 700 wood over 700 gold would have been the correct call there. But that being said, like I still thought he was okay. Like I still thought he was going to make it. Like I thought between you know just the siege from the TC, the couple cav that he had, the timing of the skirmishers, perhaps because it wasn't a TP map, the skirmishers came a little bit late.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. Actually, that is a very, very valid point. Yeah.
But
now that you mentioned,
either way, it was. I was surprised that
just went full YOLO GG Doppelsudden Azem Cow BS swag. That's what happened right there. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown 4, of course, game number 4. Well, the 4th game, not actually, between Goon and Snow. Unfortunately, I do not know to this point where we thought Goon would be back. We thought he'd be sitting there going, "Oh, sorry guys, I disconnected."
Rest in peace, gone but never forgotten.
But that is not the case. So here we are, game number 2 between Onage and Snow, aka also known as the 4th game in this series on Great Plains for the 20th of December 2014. Here we have King Onage II in the south of the map in the colour green, playing as the French, starting with 2 wood. Nice clean start. You can do a lot with 200 wood. You can indeed get up a trading post, or you can go for the market, which appears to be what he's doing. Certainly laying down a market there, but also didn't really send his explorer out quickly enough to the trading post. And if you don't go right away, it does kind of devalue it. He did just pick up nothing very interesting, just the coin treasures around his base. But French player also in the north of the map. Here he is, Snow, in the colour blue, going for a market as well. What do you think?
Yep.
French mirror, actually.
French mirror.
No, I don't want to hear your opinion. I remember you telling me what you thought of French mirrors. Let's leave it at that. Yes, French mirror.
I saw Musketeer in chat said Samwise copy paste BO number 5385798. And I think that's a fairly a fairly accurate representation of what we're going to be probably seeing this game.
Ah, I see. Well, you definitely said that in a better way. Better subjective, I guess. Just I remember the last time I asked you, you were like, "Yeah, this is a pretty boring match."
Well, okay, let's remember. Let's take a stroll down memory lane of what happens when the last time we had a French mirror. We had likely the best game that you and I have cast together.
That's true. That was that 40-minute between Azank and Maito.
On Painted Desert, really good game.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that was really fun. But I just like I was being coached by Yumiyu, and it was a French mirror, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get my crate sorted, just tell the viewers about this matchup, and he goes, it's a French mirror, it's really boring. It's just like, oh, okay, thanks Yumiyu for selling it. That's great. 50 wood though, treasure over here for the, of course, blue player. Not too bad. Wood is fairly nice. Unfortunately, though, I do not think he will be able to incorporate that into his build because, of course, he's probably already got hunting dogs. Both players getting that really early on. 1 minute and 5 seconds for King Onage. That's actually really fast hunting dog.
Yep. And I'm gonna go back briefly just to the matchup for one more point, and I'm gonna bring it home. What I think is essentially interesting about watching the French civilization play in general is their ability to adapt in situations. Because let's face it, they're kind of like a master of nothing, jack of all trades type civ, right? They've got good cav upgrades, they've got muskets, they've got crossbows, they've got a pretty strong eco. They've got good fortress-based play. They've got like all of these things going for them, and they're really strong in many different aspects of the game, but they're not like just lights out the best civ in one certain aspect of the game. So they tend to be really, really good at adapting, which is like when you watch them play against like Aztec or something like that, it's interesting to see what happens because like they've got like lots of options they can do, and like seeing them like hold aggression like cleverly with vills and stuff like that can be interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch them play in that regard.
Yeah.
But when you put them against each other, and it's like these two kind of like bland civs that are good at reacting, and then they're forced to someone's forced to play aggressive or something. It's just like, well, it's not as interesting to watch because at the end of the day they're both kind of reactive playing civs. So that's all I'll say about that. We'll have to see maybe something interesting will happen here.
I think French, as you say, they're definitely very good civ, but not excellent or a master of anything in particular. As you say, I've forgotten where I was going to bring this point to. Never mind. I guess focus on the game. Actually, there was something.
There's a trading post for snow. Like that's different. That's not Samwise build. I mean, that's
not Samwise. But there was something I was gonna say. Where has it gone? Never mind. Okay, but that's oh wow, that's a lot of hunt in his base there actually for blue. Not a Samwise build. The trading post there. Perhaps he is thinking of doing something in the Fortress Age. Then perhaps not gonna play the standard French that we all know. Barracks plus stable. Send 700 wood. Build some houses. Send 4 villages. Maybe we'll see something different.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, stable certainly is coming down here. I mean, that's kind of to be expected, especially on Great Plains. Looks like King Onage is going with what I guess we would consider the Samwise build, where you do the racks in the stable at the same time off your 400 wood, and then ship 700 wood to get population and housing spaces, and potentially a second racks. That's when we mentioned the Samwise build, that's effectively what we're mentioning. And it looks like, I mean, Snow is doing some sort of slight variation of it. Has shipped his 700. Oh,
4 villages coming first for King Onage. That's interesting because he's not going to be able to have all the population slots to actually. Or having said that, though, he's built 3 houses.
Yeah, he chopped wood for houses, I guess, and he's still got a couple bills on wood.
Did he get his steel traps?
He must be missing something.
He's researching it now.
I
guess maybe not going to make any cav then. He's not going to be able to afford cavalry. Has he got any in queue? He's got 2 in queue. Okay, so maybe doing something like maybe just chopped wood and is going to send 700 wood next. But normally you'd expect to you want 700 wood for the population slots and then you send the 4 villages, and you can't really do it the other way around because
he's certainly not going to be able to keep up as much production. And the thing that he's really going to be lacking a lot of the times that we see in this matchup, it kind of devolves into you make the first 5 Hussar because 5 Hussar are really, really good. I mean, 5 Hussar just like beats 5 Musket. So 5 Hussar is like always good to have. But then eventually you want to reinforce with more and more muskets as the matchup continues to progress. And so you use your 700 wood to make a second barracks as a result of that. And he's not going to have that extra wood, at least until his 700 wood shipment comes, to make that second barracks. We can see Eric's already got up a second barracks, whereas King Onage is still sitting just on the single racks, single stable. But we do see his 700 wood coming. So just flipping around the ordering of his cards slightly, I don't know that it's going to make the biggest difference. His economy will be slightly better early on.
You do get those 4 villagers out a little bit earlier, which is quite nice, yeah.
But his infrastructure and I think his military count as a result of which will be slightly behind. So it's probably only a 30-second to 1 minute timing difference between their two militaries. We can see Snow has slightly more military on the field right now, and that's just kind of as a result of having that second barracks up for longer.
I think he should get away with this. It's not overtly terrible. It's just different.
No, it's fine.
It's completely fine. But yeah, the way this matchup usually works is you obviously build your stable and your barracks, and because you have both, you can adapt. As we said, French very good at adapting. One final thing I remember what I was going to say about France is actually what I've forgotten to say was the scout. They're very good at adapting anyway, but the scout gives them the extra ability to know what their opponent's doing, so they know how to adapt. It's just France is that was the final thing I was going to say. But yeah, you make a couple of cavalry. Well, you make one of each, and you can adapt either way. You've got both buildings up. The cavalry you can use to raid, and then you just mass musks from there on out.
This is getting scary, though. I mean, if you take a look at the military breakdown, we've got 24 muskets versus the 16, and so
he's made a lot of cav.
Yeah.
Oh, head-on fight? No, he's dodged it.
Which is a direct result of not having that barracks earlier, right? And so when you consider the 700 wood coming before 4 CDB, you have that second rack. I mean, the musket count, he's always going to be, as long as he's pumping out 10 muskets at a time from that racks, he's always going to be slightly ahead in muskets. And so although King Onage does have a superior cav count, gives him maybe better, map control in terms of just being able to raid and stuff, the musket count here for Snow is scary. And
absolutely huge. And those cavalry are not really going to mean a whole lot in that fight, and that is coming. The storm is coming. He's going to arrive. He's going to shoot these villagers off the food. There is no food in the back of his base, though he could sort of gather on the side, but Blue could stop that. Going to be able to siege down these barracks, and really... Green is just going to be waiting for musketeers to pop, and maybe he wants to combine it with Minutemen and maybe some villagers. You see, cavalry not so good against musketeers, and 8 crossbowmen here as well. The timing push is real.
Yeah, and this is going to be tricky. He's probably going to have to fight with Phil. Certainly has to have a good minimum timing coming out now. The cav are sneaking around the back, but there's really nowhere for him to go. I mean, the 8 crossbows just kind of wedged in there in between the gold mine and the barracks. Really not a lot of room for this cavalry to
cavalry
operate.
Now going to go in? No, they don't. They pulled out their knight. Absolutely, maybe not. Okay. Wow. What's going to happen though is or perhaps he will take note going in and out. Well, what's going on here? I'm not quite sure. Maybe Blue just walks back here. I guess he could just siege down that barracks, and then Green is going to have to come and do something eventually. Otherwise, he
just wants to trade out the ranged units as much as he can. He's identified that his opponent has made additional cavalry. He's baited out the Minutemen push, so I mean the Minutemen are not going to be there for the next time that he does decide to go in. And as long as he can, be careful, Cav. As long as he can continue to trade off the ranged units and continue to grow this absolutely huge military advantage in terms of ranged units, the next fight is just going to go more and more in his favor. But that being said, Onage now with 8 crossbows of his own, still the remnants of those Minutemen in there. Maybe, his army doesn't look too shabby. I mean, he is...
fairly even on military unit population, though some of that is inflated by, of course, those 1 HP Minutemen. It does look like they're going to do a little bit of an encounter here. But still, a lot of that population spots for Green is tied up in those cavalry, which are actually not that useful in this fight.
I mean, they're certainly not doing anything. I guess he should maybe be trying to raid with those, but at that point, then
you've got nothing here. Blue just attacks straight on. Yeah. It's just the problem is having cav. In this sort of matchup, you only really make 5, and then
you make the 5 because they're so good early in the game, and then maybe if your opponent
and
likes
as you can see, they're just gonna get knocked down. It's not fun, and the villager's gonna have to get involved here. And yes, that in the short term, that's really good for them. They've got so much extra hit points to sponge up some damage with, and they do have 8 ranged attack, and they'll have more if they get upgraded. They're gonna force blue back, but at the same time, these villagers aren't working. All of blue's economy is, and it's just gonna get more blue units. Green isn't gonna be able to replace them. He's gonna get further and further behind. But as you were saying, Zuta, those cav definitely are pretty good. Tell us about it.
So you use the first 5 cav just because 5 cav 5 musk is better because you can get it out, just because you can do it. It's 5 cav 5 musk is better than 10 musk, say, just because the 5 cav are so good early in the game. But then once the number of musks start to get to this critical mass where you've got 15, 20, 30 musks, those cav kind of become useless and you don't really use them that much. Maybe you make 1 or 2 just for the rating potential that they do have. This is looking pretty dire straits here for Green. He is getting a decent raid here in the back, killing off a couple of CDB.
That's true. It's not too bad.
But his ranged unit if we just compare the ranged units, it's 50 versus 25 in the musk count, which is really going to be tricky to make a comeback from, especially given the fact that at this current time, King Onish really doesn't have that much food, doesn't really have any in the bank, and isn't going to really have that much in the bank in the foreseeable future.
No, and yep. It's not looking too good. There's a lot of blue units there, and what can you say about that? I guess in this sort of fight, you are looking to micro. You want to make sure that you are killing off all of the weak units there, and you want to make sure that you're using the correct amount of units to kill a musketeer. But when you're outnumbered that much, even microing here isn't going to make a huge amount of difference. 5 musketeers do pop out at the back there, looking like he could even it up. Where are the? No. What am I saying?
It's gonna be it's dire straits here. King Orange, he just doesn't have the resources available to really stabilize at this point. He's even lost quite a few CDBs, although he did get a decent little raid in as well. Yeah. So I guess economy-wise, he's not that far behind. But
you're right. But after this fight, Blue is just gonna go and find Green's villagers. There's 3 crossbowmen left, and
this is the point where Snow could make in 2 cav, and it would be brutal, right? Because if there was 2 hussars standing on top of those CDBs, what could he do?
Yeah, that pretty much ends the game there. But even these musketeers, after killing this explorer, they've got 2 options, right? Start sieging down infrastructure, or go and find the villagers that are collecting food. He's not got any units. You've just killed them all. You can do that. He's certainly not collecting in his base, that's true. 10 more musketeers now walking in, gonna keep up, make this even more difficult, though 10 musketeers of greens, but it's still behind.
Yeah, and it's just he's playing this severe catch-up game. He's trying to get his crates gathered so he can stabilize off these units. It's just going to be really tough. What I would like to see from Snow now is just 2 cav. 2 cav is nail.
It's possible to come back from here though. It's definitely doable. It's just difficult. You're 1,000 resources down in terms of military units. That's you're 10 units down. That's basically what it is. Villager economies are actually quite similar.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the bank though. Snow's still got bank. Snow's still going to be getting big batches of muskets, whereas Onage just isn't going to be getting out those big batches. A lot of his villagers are sitting in this town center. I guess right now he's kind of just stabilizing off of the back of
the TC
fire and the travel time that he doesn't have.
That micro though. Those 3 musks chasing that hussar around. He's just dragging them back, trying to do his best to get back into this. Of course, the hussar's actually pretty good against the crossbowmen as well, but so many musketeers arriving that sort of nullifies them there. A point I wanted to bring up from earlier, you said about the stable. You make 5 cav to begin with. Because you can essentially, but also you're building a barracks in a stable. Because, in a lot of matchups, you don't know what units you're going to need. And it's even if you want to go up to Fortress, you've got the infrastructure there up early. And you've got the choice to make whichever unit you actually need. That's why it's strong as well.
Right.
And in this matchup, 5 early cav is good. I just wanted to finish that point whilst we were on it earlier, and whilst there was not a huge amount.
It's still really, this is still really tough. this one hussar trying to be a hero, but unfortunately not going to be able to save the day. I mean, I guess he's not dead just... Okay, I was going to say maybe he's not dead, but then there's this raid on the right side.
Just the story of this game is just like 50, between 15 and 25 units down all game. Like that was it. Like, because those cavalry, whilst he wasn't down in units when the cavalry were there in the early portion, they essentially weren't useful. Like, they weren't units, so he was like that much worth of population in cavalry down because the cavalry weren't.
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially what that came down to is the card order. I mean, when we look at the card orders, we flipped around the 700 wood and the 4 CDBs, right? Both players as their first 3 cards shipped 3 CDB, 700 wood, and 4 CDB. The only distinction was Eric did 3 CDB, 700 wood, 4 CDB, whereas King Otis did 3 CDB, 4 CDB, 700 wood. And the big difference was Eric was able to get down his second barracks earlier, was able to relieve the pressure of his wood gathering economy that much earlier, able to get down the infrastructure, able to get down the houses, and as a result got out the units that he needed to like kind of push the advantage. And once you're pushing the advantage, forcing your opponent off of hunts, forcing him to, you know, be gathering in an awkward spot and like just be under the pressure and trading out the ranged units and getting kind of that ranged ball advantage, it just kind of snowballed from there. And Eric did a good job of just kind of keeping up the pressure and leveraging that advantage for the rest of the game.
That's true. As far as, you know, despite that being a fairly standard French mirror, I enjoyed that. That was...
There's lots of action. French mirrors always have lots of action. That's one thing that's good.
It's pretty funky. So we do indeed have that. That does conclude, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, Saturday Smackdown for the 20th of December. I know it's sad, guys, but that is it.
And I do apologize for like all the downtime and stuff that we had. Yeah, today we try and avoid that as much as possible. But I mean, at the end of the day, this game it's not like there's 40 million people chomping at the